Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, we're rolling. It's Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. Tonight is episode 47, getting close to that 1 year mark. And so for tonight, we're going to start things off with Name That Stadium like we always do. Then we'll hit the news from this past week. After that, we're going to take an early look at the fantasy football top 10 rankings and give a little bit of our feedback on what we like and don't like and some things that we expect to change, all that kind of jazz. And last but not least, we'll close things off with question of the week. And so, with all that being said, how's it going tonight, James?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man. It's going good. You know, here in Michigan, we all of a sudden got like that pop. It was like 85 degrees today. So, a little hot and sweaty, but, it's nice to get some heat, man.
No, that's nice. Out here, it's just always perfect temperature. It was like I think it was in the 70s today, like always.
Yeah, I was reading something today that you guys are projected to have a really bad dry season this year, right? I
We're
don't know if
always
you've heard about
projected to
that,
have
but yeah, it's
we're
always
always
dry out
projected to
there.
have
Yeah,
dry season.
I got you. Well, hopefully there's not, too many crazy fires like there was last year, but that's
Right.
that's out of our control. So
So today the high was apparently 64 and the low was 57. So
that's a tight range. It's a tight
yeah,
range. Yeah. I mean, I probably woke up and it was like 50, and then it got up to like 85 or 90, and I bet it'll be back down into the 50s in a little while. But that's not horrible either, though.
no.
So okay, well, hey, let's jump into name that stadium. And so for anybody watching, this is the part of the show where, as you can see, James is out there traveling the country. Every week, he's got a different stadium in his background, and we're asking our viewers, take a shot if you think you know what that stadium is. Put your answer in our comment section, and if you're the first person to get it right, we'll give you a special shout out in next week's show. So James, why don't you tell us where you were at last week and what inspiration or reasoning that you went with for it?
Well, I was at SoFi out here in LA last week. I picked it because, I'm the more I look into the Rams and what they did in this off season and stuff, the more excited about like what this team looks like this year. I get.
Yeah, that stadium looks just freaking sweet, man. That picture was cool, and I've seen some of the stuff, like online and on TV, when they show it, and it's like, wow, that's. I mean, hey, that's Southern California, man. They did it right. So.
Yeah, I think though the what is it, Allegiant in Vegas? I think
Mhm.
that one looks even better than SoFi, which I didn't think possible when I saw the pictures of SoFi.
Yeah, what do they call that one in Vegas? It's got like a
think
Star Wars theme or something, or Star Wars
yeah,
nickname.
Gruden refers to it as the Death Star.
Okay, gotcha. Oh man. Yeah, no, that was pretty sweet too. Yeah. I'm bummed out as a Lions fan, as I'm sure you probably are, even though you don't live here anymore. But it seemed like Ford Field was like so nice, and then it was like almost instantly like the next new stadium was like, oh wow, like we just missed like that level of like sweet upgrades. And Ford Field's nice, but it's got nothing on these new ones, man.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, cool. Well, let's kick it over. Let's do a recap of the past week. And so, we're kind of in that time of year where sometimes you got to reach for some stuff. Sometimes you got to, kind of speculate what's going on with trades, Julio Jones, Aaron Rodgers, yada yada yada. But there is a little bit of news this week, and the most notable thing I saw, which was just earlier today that I caught it, cornerback Brashad Breeland is signing with the Minnesota Vikings. I thought that was interesting because I know they went and got Patrick Peterson in free agency, and so I think that that's another solid veteran cornerback that they're adding to the mix there. Which Minnesota's defense, they had a rough run last year, and I think that they have a couple guys coming back healthy. They shored up some issues on the defensive line, and now they've also shored up some issues in the secondary. I think they could come back and get back up to par for what we've traditionally seen from a Zimmer defense this year.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so the next thing I saw, this I don't think this is a huge thing, but it made the news is Cam Newton hurt his hand in OTAs. It sounds like it's not serious, it's just some kind of a bone bruise, but I'm sure like people are just like chomping at the bit, like, oh, here we go, Cam's getting hurt, Mac Jones, like it's gonna happen. Hey, anything could happen. But this is I think it's minor, especially at this time of year because we still got a couple months to go.
Yeah, I heard about that earlier today, and it doesn't really matter what happens with Cam Newton. He gets hurt, he doesn't get hurt. I mean, Mac Jones is the guy there. Week should be week 1, week 4, whatever. Mac Jones is the future.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, they got him at a good spot in the first round, and I mean he's a first round quarterback. They're planning on doing something with him, and they know Cam's not the answer. So Cam, he was a pinch hit last year, and it really wasn't that good, man. I mean, the stats that they have like passing last year were like for today's day and age in the NFL, it was kind of embarrassing, man. So,
Yeah.
but hey, we don't need. I don't have them in front of me. We don't need to dig all that up.
What do
So
you have, like 9 TDs and like 20 interceptions?
it was bad, dude. It was like record lows for like fewest touchdowns to wide receivers and fewest receptions and touchdowns and yards to tight ends, and it was just like, wow, there was just nothing there through the air last year,
Yeah. I mean, he
and
had COVID. It was out a couple games, but still, he looked. I mean, and no talent. So, I
I
mean,
know there wasn't much around him. Yeah,
there's
there's a lot of
explanation.
reason.
It's still pretty bad.
Yeah, and I think Mac Jones, I mean, we talked about it before. I think he's a perfect fit for that Josh McDaniels offense. It's just a matter of when's he going to be ready to take the reins. I can see him doing some Brady-esque things with the way they do like some dink and dunk plays and then wait for the big one to open up, maximizing the guys in the slot, especially now they got the two tight end guys, like Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, they're going to be hitting them up a lot. There's a lot there, man. I mean, it's just a matter of can he step up and be what they're hoping he's going to be. So
Yeah.
other quarterback news. Did you catch the story about Tua in Miami and like his comments about last year? He didn't really know the playbook all that well, or whatever he was saying.
I didn't catch the comments, recent ones, but it was. I want to say it was Super Bowl week. One of the sports talk radio shows I listened to. He he was asked to grade his rookie season, and he said it was subpar.
Okay.
And like he was really down on his performance the last year. So I mean that right there told me a lot about him. Like he expects a lot because I thought it was pretty average, pretty good for average to good for a rookie.
I mean, we've been spoiled by rookie quarterbacks in recent years, I think. And so, when I saw it, I was with you. It was like, yeah, it was pretty good if you have the right expectations.
Hmm.
But like with how we've been spoiled, it's like, well, yeah, it was streaky, compared to like, what are the odds that you're going to get another Herbert, man? Or, even Kyler Murray came out and played great his rookie year. And, it's just, we've seen it too many times recently. But no, yeah, he did okay. And maybe we did talk about it because I think weren't you saying, or maybe I was talking to somebody else was saying, oh well, Brady admitted to not knowing the playbook all that well, like halfway through the season, and so it's like,
Yeah.
if Brady's having issues, come on, give the rookie a break, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was Tua that was really down on himself. It wasn't. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
so. I mean, for him to be down on himself on how he did last year, that tells me that I mean, he's just going to work harder to get the shit down.
Yeah, and that's important. You want to hear him saying those things, but you really want to see him back it up on the field. That's the big thing. Can he take that next step? And I mean, man, they're giving him some weapons, that's for sure. Um, I'm hoping they can keep him clean in that pocket, but I like the weapons that he's going to have thrown to him. They just got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So the next one I saw, I think worth mentioning, Frank Gore, still hanging out there, fighting off retirement, waiting for the right situation. And man, I was looking at it earlier. I mean, I knew he's been around forever for a running back, but he's 38 years old, man. Do you think that he latches on somewhere in some kind of a capacity?
Old man Gore. I mean, he can still run the ball. I mean, he it's obviously he's declining, but yeah, I would sign him for like a change of pace back or just to give the number one back a blow. I mean, he still can run the ball pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been around so long. I agree with you that it seems like, even if you're not going to get him on the field a ton, like let's just say you're a contender and maybe you got a young running back room, bring him in, give him some leadership. Let the seasoned vet teach some of the young guys. And if you need him for a clutch situation, he's there and he can do it. And so, yeah, he might not be like exploding off the tape anymore, but man, I'm always a big fan of bringing in those leadership guys, those veteran guys, and it's like the right team can find a role for them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, hey, man, that's kind of pretty much all the big stuff from the news last week that I picked up on. Was there anything hanging out there, anything you heard or saw, or anything like that you want to mention?
Well, there's a couple things. One, Brady finally admitted that, you remember the fourth down
Oh,
incomplete pass
yeah,
in Chicago? He finally admitted that he didn't realize it was fourth down. And it's
yeah,
like, no, no shit. Everybody knew you didn't know it was fourth down. Like, everybody in the fucking world said, well, when you put up the four fingers, is like, isn't
yeah.
it fourth down? And and he's like, "Oh yeah, that was probably the most confused had ever been on the football field." And it was like, "Yeah, because you're old and it was past your bedtime."
Oh, shit. Oh, you're gonna go there. Well, I mean, hey, even Tom Brady makes a mistake here and there. That's all it is. We're all human. So,
Yeah, I'm just glad he finally owned up to it
yeah,
and
fessed up to it.
admitted it.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, what else you got?
The other one was Roethlisberger. I mean, man, that guy is such a fucking bullshitter. Like he comes out this week and claims that it was his idea for him to take a pay cut. No, it wasn't. The
Oh,
fucking GM and owner went to you, and it was in the press way before. And they said we went to him and told him it's not tenable at your contract number. We have to either restructure you or move on. And then he's like, yeah, it was my idea to take a pay cut so they could sign players, and it was bullshit.
he just wants to be the hero.
Yeah, exactly.
And it might have been mutual. He might have known that, hey, I'm putting the team in a bad spot. Maybe I say something because I know they're gonna say something, or you know, I mean he's been around and he's smart enough that for sure he had to know that that number was gonna hurt him big time.
Yeah, but I mean, for him to come out and say it like this past week, it's like, well, the owners were talking weeks before the restructure that's what had to happen for them, and that they went to you and told you that. So,
Yeah.
man, stop bullshitting.
Oh, you're such a hater, man. I love Roethlisberger, but yeah, when you smell the garbage, you gotta say it. So, all right, what else you got?
And this is one I just saw, and I don't know. Like, apparently, the Titans signed somebody to play offensive line that's never played football.
Oh, that rustling guy.
Yeah,
Did
it
I
was
hear
like,
something that guy was out of U of M?
yeah, he wrestled at U of M, and he was named. He's from like Detroit. He was named Detroit Athletic Club High School Athlete of the Year his senior year in high school from
Okay.
Fowlerville. But
Ah,
oh, wait. He didn't play in college. Sorry, 12 at Fowlerville, and they signed
okay.
him to play offensive line.
Well, maybe
Headlines,
they.
headlines, not not as juicy as the actual uh, meat of the story. So, or the headline's more juicy than the actual meat of the story. So it's not as interesting as I thought.
Well, you never know. I mean, this could be one of those guys that they saw something in him and they thought, hey, let's give this guy a chance, see if he can make the conversion. And, maybe in time he gets there and he wows them, or, maybe he's good enough just to make the roster, and that's important enough.
Yeah, I don't know what their plans are for him, but I mean, hey, good for him.
Well, nice. All right. Anything else, or was that it?
That's about it. Like I would think some of the stuff are the best upgrades, positional
Okay.
upgrades. Apparently,
Oh, on ESPN, you're saying?
yeah. Apparently, like number one was Arizona, J.J. Watt over Zach Allen.
Yeah.
Number two was the fucking Rams with Stafford over Goff.
They're giving him a lot of hype, man. A lot of hype. And it's going to be a disappointment if they don't light it up. And, and they should light it up. I don't want to say that they're not going to, but it's when I see stories that have so much hype like this, at some point I want it to blow up, because it's like, come on, man. Like it's like what is it, like the Dennis Green thing from back in the day? It's like, you want to crown him? Like, just crown him, man. Like, they still have to get out there and make it happen, you know?
Yeah, but like the other interesting part is Miami had two in the top 15 or
With
16.
the wide receiver with Jalen Waddle, and then with
Uh, no, Fuller over Preston
oh, okay,
Williams,
yeah, yeah, okay, yep.
and then Benardrick McKinney over Elandon
Uh,
Roberts,
yeah, yeah.
and that was like 12 and 15. And oh, what? Ryan Fitzpatrick over Alex Smith comes in at 19.
I did see that one, and they just like the production that Fitzpatrick can bring, because Alex Smith, he did have some 300-yard games or close to it or whatever, but like traditionally he's more of like the game manager, kind of like dink and dunk, kind of, you know, just being smart with the football, but not getting a ton of production. And Fitzpatrick's, he's been more known in recent years to kind of sling it out a little bit. And so I think they're expecting him to at least, get those wide receivers the ball and do a little bit more downfield than what Alex Smith was doing for him last year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I just like the fact that honorable mention, there's a Lions move in there, so it's like just outside the top 25. Brockers replacing Shelton.
Oh, yeah. And I do like that, and I look at that defensive line now, and I think, I see potential. I see that they have to earn it now. They have two high-paid guys with Flowers and Okwara, but then when you look at the defensive tackles, they've really got Brockers plus the two guys that they just drafted. That that should form a pretty formidable front four, whichever combination you're going to move those guys around in.
Hmm.
So I like that, but I'm a Lions fan, so a little biased.
Yeah, and then the worst, like I guess the worst three. Let me see how this list goes.
The
Yeah,
worst
the
three,
worst
I didn't see that part.
the worst three off seasons at coming in at at 30 was Pittsburgh, and
Oh,
then
okay.
31 was Green Bay, and then 32 was Vegas, which I mean we've been killing them. They had a
Yeah.
shitty ass off season.
Oh man. Well, I mean, but Green Bay and Pittsburgh, it's rare to see them on a list like that. You
Yeah,
expect them to find a way to, stay at that top tier. And uh, Green Bay, it's all going to hinge on Rodgers. If he comes back, yeah, they can make another deep playoff run, and who knows, maybe there's a little bit of magic. Pittsburgh, I think honestly, their path is going to be all about Najee Harris running the crap out of the ball and actually giving him some balance on offense and letting that defense catch some wind here and there. Otherwise, man, I just see more of the same that we saw at the end of last year. They're going to be passing the ball 50 freaking times a game, and the jig is up, because you can't, when you do that, you show all your cards by the time the season's over, man.
Yeah. So, but the Lions came in at like the seventh worst off
Okay.
seasons. I, I just want to read a little quote from it. What's left to do? Wait, the Lions aren't tanking?
I mean,
But
listen, they're trying, but it's the Lions, and this is a gut it year, and I think that for gutting it, they do still have a couple pieces here and there, and wide receiver's an issue for sure. Um, and I was actually listening to something today on 97.1. They were talking about Dan Campbell and just like kind of all the way that he's handling the media and just kind of his like big personality. And they were saying that that's all great and everything, except that they're projected to win 3 games. And so
yeah,
it's like if they really only do go 3-14, um, it could wreck him after 1 year because everybody's going to want to eat him alive. That, man, you were talking about biting off kneecaps and just beating up other teams and doing all this stuff, and then you couldn't even get to 7-8 wins. Like, come on, And so, there's some risk to that, but I think that like the smarter fans like us, they can see it that this is year one of a rebuild. This is going to be like basically ground zero of this team getting through like another wave of being gutted, and then they're going to finally be able to show some progress from there. And if they get ahead of schedule, that's great. We'll all be freaking excited, but I'm not counting on any of that. Not this year, maybe not even next year. So, that's my
yeah.
opinion. This is going to be a slow burn, man.
It's going to be a very slow burn, and then it's going to be a new coach and
Oh,
another
jeez.
slow burn, and then a new coach and another. Wait, that's like the history of the fucking Lions.
It likes to repeat itself, that's for sure. That's where we need that coach trade.
Yeah,
Go out and, hey, how many first round picks is it going to take to get Belichick? He'll just retire, but
yeah.
something like that.
He'll retire
Yeah,
instead
for
of
sure. He'd
instead
be
of
like,
coach the Lions. Although
no,
he was like a coordinator, or like some sort of assistant coach on the Lions years ago.
yeah, maybe he's like, okay, I'll give it one year. I'll give him one special season and then I'm out.
Yeah,
But no, it'll never happen. Um, all right, well, what else you got there?
that was about it.
Okay, well, let's kick it over and let's do our early look at the fantasy football top 10 rankings. And so for tonight, we're actually going to take a look at the Yahoo rankings, which I believe this is standard scoring that we're looking at. And we've got, I'll just run you through the list and we'll just kind of go down the line and see what you think about each of these guys and the respective spot that they're at this point in the offseason. Starting it off at one is running back Christian McCaffrey. After that, running back Dalvin Cook, then running back Derrick Henry, then running back Saquon Barkley, then running back Jonathan Taylor, then running back Alvin Kamara, running back Ezekiel Elliott, running back Nick Chubb, and then to close out the top 10, we got wide receivers Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs. And so that run of running backs at the top part, really most of the first round, that's not surprising. I think that I think that the order that they have it in there can be widely debatable this year. And I think some years it's almost like the top 3 or 4 are kind of set in stone. This year, I think you can poke holes in a lot of these names. And And so why don't we just start with McCaffrey? What do you think about him being like the preseason fantasy, top ranked guy?
My issue is Carolina. They have Sam Darnold. Yeah, McCaffrey's talented and all, but he was hurt last year, and then he's coming back from the injury, and it's just I don't trust that offense just yet. I
Oh,
think it's going to take time for Darnold to get acclimated to it if he does. I think he can rejuvenate his career down there, but I think it's going to take a year or two, and teams are going to be able to pretty much focus on McCaffrey for the first quarter to half the season and stop McCaffrey, and you're going to be able to stop that offense. So I would question taking him number one.
and I think, like you're saying, the injury thing's a risk. I mean, I think the guy only played 3 games last year. And, I get it the year before he lit it up and had, the 2,000 yard season, whatever it ended up being, between rushing and receiving. But to miss that much time and then come back into an offense that's kind of in flux, like you're saying, man, it's just so risky for me at number one. I think that they got it right in terms of the risk reward equation. Is that, well, yeah, I mean, if he stayed healthy and he nailed another 2,000 combined yards, well, yeah, then it's worth that risk. But you're tacking on a heavy amount of risk to try and get that reward at number one, anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it has something to do with their schedule. Maybe their schedule's soft against the run down there. I'm not certain on that. They do have one of the later bye weeks, which is interesting.
Okay.
So he'd be kind of refreshed for that playoff push in fantasy. I mean, maybe that's what they're looking at, but I question him being there.
Yeah. And so, let's just go down to the next guy, Dalvin Cook at number two. I like Dalvin Cook a lot, but I think honestly, I think this one's wrong as well. Uh, and I want your opinion on it, but I think that they mixed this up. I think the next guy on this list is Derrick Henry. I trust him far more than I do Dalvin Cook. And,
Mhm.
Dalvin Cook does have a little bit of an injury history too, which puts some risk on it. But I think even production wise, and I'll try looking up some of the stats, but I mean, Derrick Henry's just been dominant, man. And so, I don't know. What do you think with Cook at two?
I don't like Cook it too. I agree with you. Like, I mean, I don't understand why they're way discounting Derrick Henry there. I mean, he's back-to-back solid years. I mean, yeah, he may have may be getting to that point like the McCaffrey was. McCaffrey had a lot of usage 2 years in a row,
Yeah,
and
burning
then
him out. Yeah.
burn him out. But
I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now, and if we're just looking at last year, Derrick Henry over 2,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, and I get it, 378 carries. That's a lot. Dalvin Cook, 312 carries, 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns. I mean, and when you consider the year before, Dalvin Cook had the injury stuff going on. I just trust Derrick Henry way more, man, way more.
yeah, and if you look at their fantasy points from last year, uh, Henry had 362 or would have been 362, and Dalvin Cook would have been 318. So I don't understand why they're discounting Cook or why they're discounting Henry so much.
Yeah, and didn't Tennessee just draft a guy for the offensive line, trying to give them a little bit of help there? I mean, and they still got Tannehill. I know they're down Corey Davis at wide receiver, but man, it just seems like the Derrick Henry train's going to keep rolling, man.
Oh, it just occurred to me why they're discounting Henry.
What's that?
Their offensive coordinator's no longer there.
Oh, yeah, he's the head coach of Atlanta now.
Yeah, that might be why Henry's so far is dropped a little bit.
It just still seems like a significant drop. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know.
No,
I gotta
I know, I
believe,
agree.
yeah, you're just, I mean, Derrick Henry's game's pretty simple. Give him the ball and let him run up the middle. I mean, you don't see him going out wide catching passes or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, wow. His projected fantasy points this year for Henry, they have him projected at sixth at running back, sixth.
You're saying uh, six among running backs?
Yeah, the number six running back. They have McCaffrey, Taylor, Cook, Kamara, Barkley, then Henry, and that's just looking at the running backs.
Huh. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of those other guys on the list, they catch the ball, and that's not something you see Derrick Henry do all day. He's a throwback kind of runner, but I still think he's a lot more reliable, man.
Oh, I agree. I think he's a lot more reliable. He's shown to be a lot more reliable. You have two guys ahead of him that have had injury issues, but man, I just don't like him down so far.
Yeah, and so let's just keep it moving here. So the next guy at number 4 is Saquon Barkley, and this is another one to me that I struggle with. And I get it, he missed almost all of last year. He only played 2 games. And the 2 games he played, he had that disaster against Pittsburgh where I'm actually looking at it right now. He had 15 attempts for 6 yards. I mean, it just, nobody expected that. In Pittsburgh, hey, great defense, but, Barkley was expected to do something. And then his second game, that's when he went out. He had 4 carries, 28 yards, got hurt. And so, it's I just think it's another risky pick, especially when you look at the New York Giants offensive line and how I think most people were expecting them to prioritize that this offseason. And they really didn't do a whole heck of a lot other than welcome Nate Solder back, who opted out last year. To me, that offensive line's still a liability. And if they can't open up lanes, I don't care how good Saquon Barkley is, man. He's just not going to be, that elite level without a little bit of help.
Yeah, did he wasn't it like didn't he like tear his Achilles last year? It was like a real serious injury. Like it
It,
was
it was,
Achilles or
yeah. And I'm just trying to look
his
at it real quick.
ACL. I think it was his ACL. Thinking about it,
Okay.
let me.
Yeah, it was his knee, right ACL.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty significant for a running back to come from. You have a terrible offensive line that they haven't improved, and then you also have Daniel Jones back there, who's a liability for the run game because you don't have to worry about them really being able to pass the ball.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I don't know, but I think that it's early, it's early in the off season still, and I think it's um, I think it's a weird year because you had a lot of these top level guys have injuries or have something strange happen, and I'm glad you picked up on that with Tennessee with their offensive coordinator leaving because yeah, that's a reason to discount Derrick Henry, but I think when you look at all those moving parts around him, it just seems like that would just have him still rise to the top.
Yeah,
And so the next guy on the list, just keeping it moving, is Jonathan Taylor from Indianapolis. And I really, I'll just tell you, man, I'm man crushing this guy. I liked what I saw from him in his rookie year, and I know he was running behind a stud offensive line in Indy. Um, the ranking here, having him at 5, does kind of concern me a little bit just because we know Indy's going to run with the committee approach. They still got Naeem Hines, Marlon Mack's coming back, and they got Jordan Wilkins, who was getting involved quite a bit at the end of the year, too. And so that makes me nervous about what's his ceiling. You know, and maybe I don't know, maybe there'll be a change of philosophy this year, and they'll maybe they're saying, hey, you know, you got a year under your belt, we're going to give it to you more, and we're going to highlight you more in this offense. And if that's the case, I see some potential. If not, I'm just not sure how he's going to blow out that 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns that he did last year.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. Like the thing I look at coming into this season is that he's going to have more of an off season workouts and get more familiar with the offense there. He last year they kind of slowly worked him in, and then he just kind of took over. And
Yeah,
I think he has a chance to be one of the premier running backs in the league. But the committee approach really worries me.
yeah, yeah. We're in agreement. We're in agreement. And you know, this is another strange one because now I look further on the list, and you know, I don't know what your opinion is on this or not, but you know, we'll talk about it. Is you know, this is probably one of my favorite guys on here, but it's Nick Chubb. You know, they got him a couple spots down there at 8, and I mean, I guess the problem with Chubb is that we know that he's splitting time solid with Kareem Hunt now. You know, and that's all it is. Because to me, Nick Chubb is you know, he's not like a Derrick Henry per se, but he's one of those banger kind of guys that can do, I think, similar output to Derrick Henry if you gave him the chance, you know?
Yeah, I just glancing on the list, I don't even see in the top 25. I don't see Kareem Hunt in there, which kind of surprised me if they're really truly splitting time.
Yeah, you know, and let me
Trying to,
look that up real quick.
where is Kareem Hunt?
I mean, if we look at Kareem Hunt, so last year he had 198 attempts to Nick Chubb's 190. So, I mean, he already beat him out. But yardage, 841 versus Chubb having 1067. And then touchdowns, Chubb blows him out of the water. It's 6-12. And so, you know, Chubb is more productive, but I think they like Kareem Hunt because, you know, he does stuff in the passing game and Chubb doesn't really do that. And so I get it, you know.
Yeah, I'm not even seeing Kareem Hunt in the top 100.
Yeah, he had another 300 yards receiving. And that I mean, he's got to be in there, dude. I mean, the dude had
Oh, okay.
almost
He's at
1,200 total
40,
yards.
45. I just didn't.
Okay. Yeah, you just skimmed over him. I got you.
Yeah.
But you know, I just look at it and I'm like, man, you know, that's another one of these ones where it's like if they just made the guy the workhorse, Chubb would be a top 3, top 5 fantasy back, no problem. But like that's where we started. You can poke holes in all of these picks, man. There's like a reason to be like excited, but a reason to be like, oh man, I got to hedge my bet. I'm not sure about this. And the next guy up is Alvin Kamara. So he's at 6, and I mean I like Kamara. He's had some major years. He's had some kind of like come back to reality kind of years. And then last year, you know, I'm just hitting it up right now. 187 carries, not a whole lot of tread on or wear on the tread from the running standpoint. 930 yards, but the big thing is he had 16 touchdowns. I mean, that was huge production. And then when you look at his receiving production, he had another 756 receiving yards. And so there's a lot to like with Kamara, except the change at quarterback. It puts
That's
the
what I was
whole
gonna say.
yeah, it puts the whole thing you know, under question. It's like, can he have that kind of production with Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill at quarterback? Man, it just makes me nervous, man. All these guys making me nervous.
Yeah, I like Kamara. The change of quarterback concerns me. I don't I think he thrives most in a two running back system,
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
and I think while last year he had a good year, I mean, Breeze could only throw the ball like 10 yards, so he had to throw to the running back.
Good point. Good point. Okay, so next up we got a more prominent name compared to some of the others. We got Ezekiel Elliott with the Cowboys, and he's kind of sliding down the top 10, and I think that that's to be expected. Um, I have heard some guys say that we should expect him to have a major bounce back this year. I don't know if I believe it. I think that, the way we saw them basically just pass nonstop last year, and then when Zeke did get the ball, he was kind of just pedestrian. He had like 4 yards a carry average. And I know that their offensive line had issues last year. I just, I guess I thought a guy like him could kind of cover up some of those blemishes on the line, and it really didn't happen. And this is just me being critical. I'm not like some expert scout here, but when I see him on the field, man, it just seems like every year he's getting a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. And that kind of makes me nervous because, unless that offensive line is staying dominant, that means he's probably also getting maybe a little slower, a little slower, a little slower. And, hey, it happens to the best of us, but he's a big time back, getting paid big time money, and he should be in there in tip top shape. And I'm not saying he's not. This is just my naked eye looking at it, looking like, I don't know, man, something just seems different with this guy. But my opinion.
Oh, I completely agree with you on your opinion. Like, but if you look at his stats, like his career average is 4.5 yards a carry. He outside of his first year, his rookie season he had 5.1, which is ridiculous. But then
Hmm.
it's been like
Trending.
decline, like went up a little bit, decline, decline. So I mean, it's been trending down, and I could almost guarantee that Dallas would, if they could go back in time, they would have told him just to stay in Cabo instead of
Oh
fucking
yeah,
giving into his demands.
that huge contract they paid him. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, they could be having some buyer's remorse now because he didn't hit 1,000 yards last year. I'm sure that's pretty disappointing for the kind of money they're paying that guy.
yeah.
And I mean, I'll say this: he didn't hit 1,000 yards on the ground. He did have another 300 and something yards receiving last year, which was good. So that helps. But I think when I look at the guys on this list, because Dak is coming back, and you got another year under McCarthy's system, and people figuring it out, and hopefully that defense is better. It's like there's reason to believe maybe Zeke has a lot more upside than what they're giving him credit for at number 7 on this list. But like you're saying, because that yards per carry's been dipping every year, he's kind of got to prove it and get it back now.
Yeah, and not only yards per carry, yards per game too.
Yep.
Like, I mean, he had like 100 and some his rookie season, and then it's been a 90, 98. Like his career average is less than 90 yards per game rushing the ball now, and he started off at like 115.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's. I remember they were talking. Oh man, he's like right up there. Could be breaking records, and it's like, well, normally the running backs they don't continuously get better like quarterbacks. It's like
Mhm.
it's usually the other way around. As they're getting older, they start to fade. So, but okay. So then moving on at number 8, we got Nick Chubb, which we already talked a little bit about. I like him a lot, man. I just wish they would focus more on him and give him more opportunity.
Yeah, and Cleveland kind of worries me the more I look at them with Baker. Baker, I mean, they need to get rid of OBJ. That's when that offense is better. And if Baker looks like he did at the
Yeah.
end of the year last year, then that will open a lot for the running game. But if he regresses because OBJ's back, then I mean, the running game is they're gonna be able to shut it down pretty good.
I agree with everything you're saying, man. And we know that that offense, just like they proved last year, it's all about the run game opening up the passing game. And so they need to make sure that that's working. But yeah, they can't have OBJ being a distraction like he was last year, like, when he barely played, but, demanding the ball and things like that, wanting attention. And it's just it's a bad look, man. It's a bad look. So then it gets, we switch up the positions here. We got Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs finishing out at wide receiver. What do you think about those two guys in the top 10 here?
So when you look at Stephon Diggs, I think 10 is low for him
Okay.
because I mean, last year he went in that offense. They didn't really have much of an off season. He was brand new to the offense, and he produced pretty damn well. You
Yeah.
they added they added receivers in there to take some of the pressure off him as the number one, and Josh Allen has just been getting better and better. So I think Diggs is going to take another step forward if you can imagine that. I mean, it seems like he just keeps getting better and better the more he plays, and the more confidence he gets with Allen, and the more the chemistry. I mean, he's probably going to end up being the best receiver in the league, and that says a lot because I love Tyreek Hill. I've loved Tyreek Hill
Yeah.
for like 4 years. Or whatever. I've always went out and drafted Tyreek Hill because he just produces, and it's I think Diggs is probably right now better, and maybe even with Tyreek Hill, but he can. I think Diggs has more upside because of the weapons that they have, all the weapons they have in Kansas City.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna fight you hard on it because I think Diggs definitely surpassed my expectations last year in a big way, and it was really because Josh Allen did. I wasn't expecting Josh Allen to have the year he had last year. I just I definitely like Tyreek Hill more from the touchdown aspect. When
Hmm.
you look historically, Tyreek Hill, he can put in those touchdowns, man. And Diggs isn't horrible. I mean, he had 8 last year, but I think Tyreek Hill had like 15. And yeah, I'm looking at it right now, 15. And that's from a fantasy standpoint, that can swing things big time in any given game. And then I do worry with Diggs for this year. It's like, hey, with Tyreek Hill, you know what you're getting. He's been there enough years now, and that's just going to keep plugging along unless he gets hurt. But with um, with Diggs, I saw an article, and I think it was a Cynthia Freeland article. She was talking about like the percent of catches above expectation, something like that. And Stephon Diggs was the top guy in the league. He caught something like 10% more than the amount of expected passes. And that's the one that kind of made me nervous for this year was, well, will that sort of revert to the mean, which means his number would come down? And or do they spread the ball around a little bit more now because defenses are going to focus a little bit more on Diggs, in which case it's kind of like he's got, like a couple things working against him, I guess is all I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, with the moves, I'm trying to remember. Like, 'cause they signed, they've gotten new receivers there, and got rid, and like I mean, so I think the receiving core for Buffalo is better coming into this year than it was last year. Last
Yep.
year, you kind of could focus on Diggs a little bit, and he still had a solid season. This year coming in, you're going to have to. When obviously they're going to probably focus on Diggs at the beginning, but then they're going to have to kind of spread it once the ball starts being spread around. They're not going to be able to just focus on stopping Diggs.
Yeah, that makes sense, and yeah, that helps Diggs in a major way. So, and I'm just kind of skipping down here, looking down at the guys that kind of are just outside the top 10, and like this is the one that I like a lot, but I understand why he's lower. Is Devontae Adams. It's all about the uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers, and so I gotta believe maybe that's why they got him lower than Diggs, because Devontae Adams, man, he had 18 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, but I think with Devontae Adams, it's partially because of the uncertainty in Rodgers, but it's also because Adams, like, if you remember the year before, like he had like one touchdown, like it was it was ridiculously low a year or two ago.
He had
Like,
I know what you're talking about. I my luck or curse of fantasy, I had him on my team that year, and he had some injury issue, and it just like hindered him the whole season. Because normally the guy is solid, man. He's like a 10 plus touchdown guy, and yeah, that year it knocked him off a bit. But you know, I get it, I get it. And outside of that, I mean, I think it's appropriate. All these guys that are remaining on here, I mean, I guess there's a couple that I want to look at, which is I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, he's attractive, but is it better than Diggs? And then because Hopkins, I mean, he only had 6 TDs last year, and I don't want to like ding him too much, but TDs do matter, man. And
mhm.
then I mean, the other one, it's let's see, is DK Metcalf, and I'm just pulling up his game log here. Man, he just had a sweet year, 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns, man. I mean, so I think, I don't know. I guess I'm not as high on the Diggs placement as you are. I think there's a few of these guys that maybe could be interchangeable in that spot, depending on, what your flavor is at that position. Um, and then the thing I was wondering, man, is like normally, and maybe it's not like this in the rankings, it just always seems to happen in a real draft, but you usually see a quarterback creep up there somewhere. Somebody gets high on Mahomes or whoever and snags him in the first round. I mean, I don't even see a quarterback on here until you go down a little ways. You hit Mahomes at like 23 or something.
Hmm. So yeah, and apparently in the mock drafts, if you look at the average draft pick, average
Hmm.
pick, Mahomes is averaging at 2.2.
Okay. So, yeah, they think he's a second round guy.
Yeah, I mean just ahead of. I'm sorry, round 2.2, average pick 12.8, just ahead of Kelsey, which is weird to me.
Gotcha.
But like the one player that I think is way low on this, I think 21, Justin Jefferson. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
he,
just going
he
to
had a
get better.
sweet year. Yeah. Yeah,
If you
I'm
look
I'm
at
pulling
this,
up his stats right now because I mean I man, he lit 1,400 yards as a rookie, 7 touchdowns.
hmm
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, it's tough because you kind of like you wonder about that sophomore slump. I know it's hey, it's not like a proven thing, but I'm sure there is some evidence that shows these guys they have more pressure when they have a rookie season that blows them out like that because now year two they get a lot more defensive attention. If he doesn't hit 1,400 yards, that's okay. I'm sure he could probably still do, you know, 11, 1,200 yards is still going to be a sweet season. But who knows? Like you're saying, he could get better. And it's exciting for that guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, and you laughed at me when I said when I was talking when I last year when I said that Justin Jefferson can easily replace Diggs in that offense.
Yeah,
You
oh, I
laughed
know.
last
I
year.
know. Well, because, it's a rookie and Diggs was solid. And it's just like, man, rookie receivers typically, they don't come out of the gate like firing hot like that normally. And so it just kind of, I think I think the narrative that I gave was okay, but yeah, I mean, hey, the guy lit it up, and so it's always good when it goes that way instead of the other way, and you're like, oh, the guy was a bust. So
Yeah, I mean, I think he was top receiver on the team. Yeah, because Thielen had less than 1,000 last year.
yeah,
But I mean, Thielen got double the touchdowns.
yeah, and the TDs, man, that's huge, but that could change this year. Now that
Mm.
he's got more time, he could get in the end. Maybe his yards go down, but his TDs go up. And honestly, like the next guy on the list, man, Calvin Ridley. If Julio is out, Ridley last year, frick, man, 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns. And they got Kyle Pitts coming in. It's like Ridley could be, he could easily repeat what he did last year, which has him solid as a wide receiver one, man.
Interesting note on that. You mentioned Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley's ranked ahead of Julio.
Yeah, I think they're expecting Julio's in the decline phase. And I was worried about. I was telling you a week or two ago that when I watched him play last year, man, it just didn't look right. But I heard there was nagging injuries for a lot of the year, and so maybe he bounces back, man. Receivers typically can play a long time. It was just weird seeing him. He just looked like kind of tight end slowish last year to me.
Yeah, he did. I remember you saying that, and no wonder I didn't do shit in our league. Looking at this top list, one of them, Stephon Diggs, is the only one that was on my team, and you had three. You had what? Three in the top 25?
Well, what good did it do me? I think I finished fifth. So, it's all about once you get to the playoffs, man. What happens there?
Yeah, no, I know. I I speaking of fantasy, I have to start figuring out my keepers because
Oh
like
yeah.
if you look at like the average draft pick on some of these guys, it's like, okay, he's on my team. I could keep him. I could keep him. I could keep him.
You got some good options, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
I don't think mine's as good this year, but usually I find at least a couple guys, and this will be the year that I got to kind of restock because I think my problem is I kept a lot of guys 2 years consecutively, and so they're
hmm
gonna drop off, and so it's like, okay, now I gotta kind of like restock.
yeah. I get it. So Lamar's going into his third year, fourth year.
I think his fourth, yeah, because they're talking about his contract, right?
Yeah. So I have to look at that because I'm trying to remember. Yeah, because I think I picked him up when he replaced Flacco, so I can't keep him. But I got
He'd
I
be
got
out,
Herbert
yeah.
to slide in there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey, tough. It's so tough, you know.
Well,
And
no,
and,
Mike,
and and did you
my
draft
quarterback.
Herbert or did you pick him up out of
No,
free agency?
I picked him up out of free
Yeah,
agency.
so you're giving up a 13th round pick, man. That's stud deal.
Yeah, but I've like the since we started keeping, I've been solid at quarterback. I picked up Deshaun Watson as soon as he started, so I got to keep him for a couple of years. Then I had Watson and Lamar Jackson one year
Yeah,
because I picked up Lamar once he started, and then I kept him for a couple of years, and then I got Herbert in
yeah.
free agency last year. So I mean, my quarterback position's been solid.
Well, I shot myself in the foot last year. I was between Josh Allen and DK Metcalf as my third keeper, and I ended up going DK Metcalf. He had a great
Ugh.
year. He had a great year, but Josh Allen, oh man. The thing was DK Metcalf was going to be like a 12th or 13th round pick. And so I was like, well,
Mm.
I mean, that's a steal. And Josh Allen, I mean, it was still good, but it was going to be like a 10th round pick or something. And I was like, I'm just going Metcalf. I was like, Josh Allen had a good year, but I just didn't see him. I didn't see him having anywhere near that kind of explosion. I thought, hey, he might get a little better, but maybe the value's better for Metcalf, and I was wrong. I was wrong. So,
Hey, what can you do?
cry a river, man. Cry a river. Well, what do you want to do? You want to look at it the positions by positions and just kind of take a skim, or do you want to, what are you
Yeah,
thinking, man?
let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're hitting about an hour right now. These things don't all have to go 2 hours, but I got time. So if I just sort it by quarterback, we got Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Tom Brady, I believe, is the top 10. Whoa, Jalen Hurts is that high up?
Yeah,
It just hit me, man. Was that what your noise was about when I was saying that?
yeah, exactly. That was my laugh. Like I saw that and I was like, holy shit.
Wow. It must be because they're expecting him to get a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah. But I mean, if you look at it though, like you look at the projected points, like he's like if you just did it by fantasy points, Jalen Hurts is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's 12th in projected fantasy points.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta believe it's gonna be they're saying he's gonna have a safe floor because of the rushing yards. But I mean I don't know. I don't get it. You got Justin Herbert right behind him. And I click on the player info. They're projecting Justin Herbert getting 24, 25, 26 points a game. And then, Hertz is like 22. And so it's like, sometimes I don't understand how they put these rankings together, to be honest. But, that's okay. That's okay. Oh, and then
I
let's
think
see what
I
they got
think
Stafford at. Just outside there, just past
mhm.
Tom Brady. 20, 21 to 23-ish, 24 points a game, that's respectable. Burrow, 20 to 22. I mean, and he could do it, dude. Burrow could easily do that.
Oh, sorry, the fantasy points apparent I think that's last year's fantasy points.
Okay.
Because if you go down to like where Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are, they're listed at 0.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, so the one that I'm looking at when you look on their player card, it's got their projected by game, and that's the one that I'm just kind of like, they're out of
Oh,
sequence just off of that.
oh no, because like when you go to Trevor Lawrence's player card and it's projected zeros across the board. So I don't know what they're
Oh
doing with that.
wow, that's strange. Like, did they just not get there yet, or they think he's not going to be starting? Like, which is it?
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I'm just looking at this, just kind of skimming that order. Hertz stands out as like the wild card to me that I just don't know about it. Dak, I'm good with him there because, and then it's, Deshaun Watson's obviously not on here unless he's like buried down. Okay, so he's buried down there. It's to be determined, like how do you place him until So yeah.
Yeah, but Deshaun Watson's still ahead of Tua.
Yeah, it's like they're giving him something, but they're not like all the way in on it. And then Russell Wilson, see that's a tough one. It's like I might put Russell Wilson above Dak and maybe even above Kyler Murray on this list. You know, that one I'd probably bump a little bit.
Depends on where he's playing.
Okay, let's take a look at wide receivers.
Oh,
Unless
you're
you
not
unless
gonna
you got
pick
some more
the
trade dirt, unless you got a real rumor there.
No, no real rumor. I just saying depends on where he's playing.
Okay. So we kind of covered some of the wide receivers when we were looking at that top 25 page. If I'm just kind of looking at this list, I would put DK Metcalf above AJ Brown, no problem.
Hmm.
AJ Brown just had a rocky year last year, a lot of injury stuff going on, and Metcalf just tore it up. And then
But I
plus,
would put Jefferson above both of them.
I might keep Metcalf above Jefferson, but that's just my opinion. And it's like this, for especially for AJ Brown. That's a run first offense. You know, Metcalf is with Russell Wilson, who they let air it out last year. That just seems like it's destined to have another sweet year. Justin Jefferson's kind of tied to the hip with Cousins, which you never know if they're going to tighten it up and just run the shit out of the ball because maybe Cousins gets in
Yeah.
Zimmer's doghouse.
Hmm.
But then, I mean, geez, like Calvin Ridley, like I'm just looking at this. The wide receiver group this year is stacked. I mean, you can't go wrong getting a wide receiver one this year.
Oh, I agree. Like I don't I think Allen Robinson's a little high for my liking because you're either going to have a rookie quarterback or you're going to have Andy Dalton throwing on the ball, which is
I agree
might
with that.
might as well not have a quarterback if you're throwing Andy Dalton out there at this point.
Yeah, I definitely I get that. And like Mike Evans is lower, and maybe that's because you got the combination of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk, Antonio Brown, and it's like they're kind of just diluting each other a little bit. But Keenan Allen, man, you're right. Allen Robinson's got to drop on that list a little bit.
Yeah, Michael Thomas. I mean, yeah, I get it. The concern is who's playing quarterback in New Orleans, but I mean, Winston can throw the ball down the field, which
Y- y-
would
Yeah,
benefit Thomas.
I was just gonna say because didn't Winston light it up with Mike Evans in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, he had like some ridiculous, ungodly number of yards and 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying for Mike Thomas's production, it's going to be at least what Mike Evans was doing with Winston, you would think.
Yeah, at least. What was Jameis Winston's?
Here, I'll pull up Mike Evans' stats. Okay, so, he had Brady this year, so we're not looking at it. Last year with Jameis, and I don't know, whenever Fitzpatrick was there, um, 2019, he had 1,100 yards and change, 8 touchdowns. The year before, 2018, 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns. I mean,
2018, Winston only played in 11 games.
so that was the year Fitzpatrick was in
Yeah,
there.
17 and 18, Winston didn't play the full season.
Okay.
And the other years he did. Like, I mean, you look at Winston's stats in 2019, 5,100 yards, 33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
Yeah, that's brutal. Yeah. But I mean, I think based on those stats for Mike Evans, though, I think it's safe to think Michael Thomas could get 1,200 yards and eight
Hmm.
plus touchdowns. And that puts him
Easily.
probably above Allen Robinson with a rookie or Andy Dalton throwing to him. All right,
Yeah,
I'm
I
kicking it
just,
over to running back.
yeah.
Well, running back, I don't know how much we got to do. The eight of the guys were in the top 10. Uh, and then outside of that, you got Aaron Jones. I like Eckler. I really like him a lot. I'm excited to see what he does this year with Herbert, and it just seems like that could be that offense could hum this year. And it's risky because Herbert's still young, but I like that. And then I like they got Cam Akers there, and
Hmm.
it's like okay, they just need to stick with it because ever since Gurley has been gone, since he was, kind of casted out there, they've been doing the committee approach, and it's just been hard to find a guy in fantasy. And it looks like Akers kind of stepped out from the pack last year, and maybe
Hmm.
that's, the rankings reflecting that here.
I really like the running back that's not, or that's right below Akers, Gibson. I really like him coming into this year.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that it's the runner receiver combo. It's almost like a little bit of Eckler-ish. You're
Hmm.
you're not going to see him get, 1,000,000 yards on the ground, but it's going to be the combination of what he does on the ground and through the air that ends up being solid for him.
Yeah, because let's see, last year he had like 800 yards rushing in 14 games, but he had he had 300. So he got 1,000-ish yards, but last year he had 11 touchdowns in 14 games.
Yeah, that was solid. Yeah. Yeah, and then man, they got Chase Edmonds down on here, but who did they bring in? Didn't they bring in somebody to pair with him now? So it takes some of the shine off of what I was
Oh,
hoping for.
no, I think they're rolling with Edmonds.
Man, let me just. Oh no, no, no. They brought in James Conner, and
Yeah, who cares?
well, I know you
James
say that,
Conner's
but
not a real running back, so
you say that, but what's his face on NFL.com is projecting James Conner to start over Edmonds, and that's what took some of the air out of my sails, man. Is that we both been screaming it that you give Chase Edmonds the chance, man. You see something in that guy, give him a chance. Hey, bring in James Conner and have him be there as part of the group, but yeah, I hope they don't mess that up, dude. I really hope they don't mess that up.
see everything I hear coming out of Arizona is how much they think Edmonds can take over that number one spot
Yeah,
and
then maybe
be the
this guy from
workhorse back.
NFL Network was off base. Maybe he just I don't know. But I think Edmonds, man, I loved what I saw from him last year.
Hmm.
All right, I know I'm moving fast now, but I'm looking at tight ends. The tight end one, man, it's so tough with tight ends because normally this time of year you're like, oh man, there could be 7 or 8 good tight ends this year, and then it just always seems like at the end of the year there's like maybe 3 or 4. In this year, it's like you see all that excitement. At the top, obviously, you got Kelsey and Kittle, and then you know what you're getting with Darren Waller. He's going to be solid. After that, it's like Hawkinson, man. Hawkinson's getting a ton of hype, and he looked great last year. And so it's like okay, like I could buy it, but it's like at 5, that's high. Especially having him above Mark Andrews. I'm like, man, Mark Andrews is the man for Lamar Jackson, man.
Yeah, well, the thing with Hawkinson though is the Lions receivers are shit.
Yeah, so maybe that means he's going to get all the opportunity.
The one that surprised me is that he's that low. Let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is Julio Jones at
Hmm.
the tight end position.
It's
Pitts
because
is.
he's a rookie.
I know it's because he's a rookie, but I mean to have him that far, like behind Noah Fant, I think
I
even having him behind Hawkinson,
I,
I
I
think he
gotta
should be
I
above
gotta
both of them.
believe I gotta believe some of this is that they think Noah Fant's going to take a step up because he had a ton of hype coming out of Iowa, and it's not been like the most phenomenal thing, but you could argue some of that's quarterback play. And so if Noah Fant takes a step, I can see that where they're just saying just because Pitts is a rookie, we got to hedge it a little bit. But yeah, no, Pitts has potential to be like right around top 10 or better if he's all that he's advertised to be. It's just a
Hmm.
matter of what's that learning curve going to be. And I think he's going into a great scenario because he's got Matt Ryan throwing him the ball. And I'm looking up the stats on this guy, but man, Mike Gesicki, he impressed me big time last year, and I was waiting for him to get moving. When he came out of Penn State, man, there was just a lot to like about that guy. And last year, 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. It's coming for that guy. I mean, geez, he had one game against Buffalo with 130 yards. Another game against San Fran, 90 yards. Cincinnati, 88 yards. I mean, I like him at that spot. Like if you got to wait on a tight end, I go Gasicki all day, man.
Well, like I mean, if you're waiting on a tight end like that, like you're gonna go back a little bit further and like get what's it, like one of the Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith.
Okay. And honestly, I might even, if you're really waiting and you get, it's like if you wait to the very end and maybe you say, you know what, I'm just going to take a flyer on two guys and hope one of them does something. Blake Jarwin, look how far down he is. He's coming back this year with how much Dak lit it up last year. I know they got three wide receivers that they got to feed, but I think, for a tight end, he could get some stats. Or you take a flyer. I mean, look at these guys at the bottom. Zach Ertz and Jared Cook, man.
Mm-hmm.
At 24 and 25, Zach Ertz is going to get traded and his value will go through the roof. Jared Cook, he'll be respectable for Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to give the production that Hunter Henry gave, but I mean, Herbert like did pretty well throwing to the tight end last year. I mean, shit, 120 points. That's what, 14, like 8 to 10 points a game for Hunter Henry last year.
Okay, yeah, that's solid. All right, so yeah, and all right, here we go, man. I kicked it over to defense. I'm skipping kicker. We can talk kicker if you want, I mean, I saw Prater is in the top 10 now that he's with Arizona. Good for him. The kicker thing is just it's such a difficult thing to project. But at defense, I mean, they got the Rams at number 1, which, I don't think anybody's going to argue with that. Washington at number 2, that gets me excited because I mean I think I had them at like fucking 12 wins or something in my super early projections, and like that's one of the reasons I'm just like, man, if they can do a little more on offense and that defense takes another step, whew, I don't know, dude. I love freaking dominant defenses, dude, and they're like right there. Pittsburgh at 3. That one I'm nervous about. They just lost too many guys. Can they really? And I mean, hey, they've been such a great franchise. If all their starters stay healthy, maybe they could. Maybe they could.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh's way too high. I'm going to flip it over to the end of the list, and the Lions are at 31.
Hmm.
Only defense that's projected to be worse fantasy-wise than the Lions is the Bengals. And Atlanta is even better than the Lions. Atlanta, Houston, Jacksonville.
Yeah, and I mean, let me just say this. I have a little bit of faith that the defense can surprise some people this year. And I don't think that means they're going to be a top 10 unit, but I think
Mhm.
they're going to be better than bottom of the barrel. The thing that could be their Achilles heel is that if the offense is abysmal, well, then they will be bottom of the barrel because they're going to be on the field the whole freaking game. But like we talked about, I like what they're doing with their defensive line. The linebackers, love them or hate them, they do have some guys. They're not the greatest, but they got some guys. And then in the secondary, like they just Okuda's got to step up. They brought in some guys. I mean, there's potential. I'm not going to go crazy, but there's a little bit of potential. Let's just say that, just a little bit of potential.
There's a little bit of potential. I mean, Akuda, the Akuda pick pisses me off. I'm just not even going to go into that. I'm just
Put the weight on the defensive line. If they can get that defensive line locked down where they got a good rotation, that can make a big difference for defense.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it, and the best projected week for the Lions defense, fantasy wise, is week 8 against Philly.
Yeah,
There's some
and
abysmal weeks there.
you just jinxed us, man.
Well, I just said that week 8 against Philly, they're projected to get 7 points. That's the best one. Like I mean, hell, against Green Bay, they're projected to get less than 4. Against
Well, yeah, that's
Minnesota,
Green Bay. Yeah.
against Minnesota, less than 4. Against Cleveland, less than 4. Against Seattle, obviously, but then the last game of the year, because Green Bay, they project Green Bay is probably going to have it wrapped up. It's 6.6.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we're playing the scrubs, is what you're saying. Yeah. Um. Yeah.
But I think Tampa Bay's defense is way too low on this. Was that 8?
I was kind of thinking that too. Yeah, they're sitting at eight. It looks like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Yeah. I could see them going up a few spots, but I guess it's when you look at the teams above them, you're kind of like, yeah, I guess I get it why they're at eight. Because New Orleans, they have the potential to get a lot of sacks. Indy's defense has been solid. San Fran's defense could be back this year with Bosa coming healthy. Baltimore, obviously, you know that they always have a shot of being a dominant unit. And so it's kind of almost like Tampa Bay could be great. They're just pushing them down because everybody else is like a little more proven maybe ahead of them.
So, just Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh should not be that high.
No. And I think Buffalo's a little bit low. I'd like to see Buffalo bumped up a little bit.
Yeah, Buffalo's a little bit low. I think New England's a little bit high.
Yeah, New England, man, I know that they did a lot in free agency, but it just, with how bad last year was, they got to earn it back in my book a little bit first.
Yeah, it's just like I mean,
And
I
I
just
like where Kansas
don't know.
City's at, man, to be honest.
Yeah, that's about right for them.
Yeah. And the linebacker they brought in, I just I don't know. I like that guy, man. I think that's going to help that defense tremendously.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see on that one. I like what Kansas City is doing. Like basically, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Not really, but it feels like it.
They're putting themselves in the best position possible, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, I saw the PFF power rankings or whatever for left tackles, and Eric Fisher was higher by a good margin than Orlando Brown. And
Really?
so, yep, and they said that basically, people don't give Eric Fisher enough credit that he's actually a really good left tackle. So, and I think part of it too was Orlando Brown. They probably had him a little bit low because he just doesn't have a ton of time at left tackle yet, and so
Hmm.
they're kind of expecting him to grow into it a little bit more. But that move was all about the injury. The Achilles thing with
Yeah.
Fisher was like, sorry, we got to get somebody in here, and you might not be ready this year. So I get it.
Yeah, I get it too. It's just I think Orlando Brown has I mean, obviously, what's his name in San Francisco is the best, but like I mean, Orlando Brown, Fisher, I'm trying to think of a couple others. Like I mean, you have a group like that, but that's like that next tier behind
Oh yeah, you
Trent
got like
Williams.
Ronnie Stanley in Baltimore, the guy that
Yeah.
Orlando Brown filled in for. That guy's rock solid. There's definitely some good left tackles out there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like that it's that second tier though behind it's like Williams and then you have the
Oh yeah.
rest.
Yeah, and Eric Fisher's probably not even in that second tier, to be honest. I don't want to talk him up too much. I would probably put him in the third tier if we had to create tiers like that. But I think PFF had him at like an 80 something rating. That's solid, man. That's
Hmm.
respectable. It's no
That's
99,
bad.
but that's the rare air.
Yeah, 99 at left tackle. Come on.
I'm curious what Trent Williams was at or is at. I'm sure it's high, but yeah, 99 is. Uh, all right, man. Well, hey, so that's all I had for fantasy for now. As we get closer, I'm sure we're going to be doing more. But that was just kind of our quick, here's the early rankings, here's our opinions, and, we'll see how it moves between now and the end of August. What you looking up?
Trent Williams' PFF grade.
All right. While you're looking that up, I'm gonna move us.
91.9.
I'm sorry, 91.9?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. And if he's the top guy, I wonder if somebody else scored higher than him. You'd think that there would be somebody higher than that at left tackle.
Who knows? Let's see. PFF left tackle. Let's just see for fun. Blah, 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 blah. That's not what I wanted.
All right, well, here, while you're looking at that, I'm going to kick us over to question of the week. Since we're talking fantasy football tonight, and we kind of gave everybody our opinion on the top 10 and kind of what we like and what we don't like. The question for the week: if you've got the number one pick in your fantasy football draft, who's your guy? Are you going Christian McCaffrey with that risk reward scenario, hoping you get the guy from 2019? Or you like me, where you're going Derrick Henry because he's a proven pounder and there's some stability in there? Or are you going something else? What do you think? We want to hear it. Just like Name That Stadium. Hit us up on the comments section. Let us know what you think. And who's your number one pick, by the way, James? Who are you going with?
Well, first, the tackle grades, top three, is
Yes.
Williams, Bakhtiari, and Garrett Bowles.
Okay. Wow, I didn't
Bakhtiari,
know Garrett Bowles was that high. Holy cow.
yeah. Trent Williams, 91.9. Bakhtiari, 91.8. And Garrett Bowles, 90.6.
Jeez, I had no idea Bowles was that high, man. Good for him.
Yeah. And that bought me some time to think and go outside the box
Okay.
on this.
At number one overall?
Yeah. So are we
Kyle Pitts. Oh.
no, running under the assumption that it's a non-keeper league?
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes.
You're going Mahomes number one overall.
Mm-hmm.
Over every running back?
Over every running back, every wide receiver.
Wow. So you think he's going to just light it up like crazy this year?
He regularly, fantasy point wise, overall season total, 500 points for the season.
Okay. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
200 more than any running back. Let me see. Let's pull his fantasy
Well,
from.
yeah, I mean, you expect him to have more than the running backs, but it's all about the supply and the demand at the positions. I mean, I still go running back early, but that's just because I know that position thins out the fastest.
Well, I'm assuming that if I have the number one overall pick, then I'm gonna have
20, it snakes back. 20 and
20,
21.
which everyone that I see of the running backs that would be in position for number one, there's a lot of risks to them.
Yeah. And so you'd
If
rather maybe take two guys at 20 and 21?
if I'm coming back at 20 and 21, I can get Mixon and Jefferson, or Mixon and Ridley.
That's a good strategy, actually. I like that. Yeah. Well, yeah, if you could get Mixon and Ridley, then you've got potentially the top quarterback, but maybe by far and away, and you got potentially a running back one, and you should for sure have a wide receiver one. That's giving you some good balance, man, out of the gate,
Yeah.
those first three picks, with a lot of upside with Mahomes.
Uh,
Mahomie.
Exactly. As long as he continues on the path that he is. I mean, he had a little bit of a down season in 19, but I mean, in 2020, he had 482 fantasy points.
Okay.
And total in his career, where is he? Where is he? Why am I not seeing him? Because these guys have played 700 years. I mean, like Rogers and Brady are Rogers, Brady, Roethlisberger, Ryan.
Yep.
I mean, like they've been around for 6,000 years. Okay, so his career, he's going into, what's this, his fourth season?
Mahomes, this is number 5, I
Well, his
think.
fourth full season.
Okay.
And I mean, in 2019, he missed, what was it, 3 or 4 games? 2 or 3 games.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a couple he was out. Yep.
So you're looking at, let's say 30. You're looking at like 30 points, 30, 30 some points a game, average.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw when I pulled up his player card on Yahoo. It was like 30 a game. I mean, that's legit, dude. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, I mean, you get Mahomes. I mean, hell, like even if you could come back and get like Kelsey in like the fifth, sixth round. I mean, you're just your quarterback, your tight end's gonna win half your games.
uh,
Yeah, he has 2 games where he's projected this year less than 30 points. One of them is week 18, which doesn't
yeah.
matter fantasy wise, and the other one is week 2 because I mean they're playing Baltimore. Everything else is 30, 31.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rock solid. So I get it. I could see you snagging him at one because you got a ways before you're going to pick again. And if you're not going to get him, then you got to take him when you can get him.
Yeah, and plus, so he's not going to last to the end of the second round.
Yeah, some guy's going to get giddy and jump on him.
Hmm.
He'll get picked in the first round somewhere.
Yeah, and it's just everyone else that would be in the first round are either a little bit of a reach for that player or there's a lot of risks to the reward that could come.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I like it. I like that interesting zig when we zag approach. Okay, so that was pretty much all I had for tonight, man. You got any closing thoughts before we wrap it up here?
No, I think that's all I had.
All right. Well, hey, for anybody who's out there watching, we hope you liked the show. If you did, hit us that thumbs up. We definitely want to hear some comments. And if you really liked us, hit the subscribe button. James, we got to come up with something for next week. And soon we'll be back into the cycle from last year, looking at what we did for those first couple videos. But we got about 5 weeks left until we get there. So if you have a topic, or if somebody watching has a topic, let us know. And we are interested in some ideas. All right. It was fun, man. I'll catch you later.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.